to our podcast. It's a retrospective look across the autism spectrum. Talking with my partner in crime, Jen. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, everybody.
We are talking this month about employment for our kids as our kids age up. And last week on our podcast, we had the pleasure of meeting some young men that were starting their own business, making aprons and masks and t-shirts. And man, they're taking off. All of a sudden, I see them in the news. They're all over the place, aren't they, Jen?
Yeah, they are. And I was so inspired. I spent like a whole paycheck afterwards online on all their merchandise.
I know. I have
very cool.
I know. I have in my cart with them already aprons and shirts for holiday gifts.
Awesome.
So there was a group of young men who've grown up in St. Clemente and known each other forever, and their longtime family friend and caregiver helped them start their own business. That's one way our kiddos find employment, but there's other ways that they do too. And I get to introduce the executive director of the New Vista School, school here in California, and it also is run by my husband. Hi, honey.
Hello.
So, yes, this is a family business for Bill and I. We're all in our lives and our careers, and we met on the board at New Vista School a long time ago in 2005 or 6. Is that right?
Yep.
So, tell us about your school, and then talk a little bit about your career academy that you've started and with your partner, Marcos.
Sure. So New Vista School was launched in 2006. It was originally called Lamont Academy, and it was really a K through 12 school for anybody with disabilities. And in 2006, they changed the name to New Vista School to focus on higher functioning autism grades 6 through 12. And it's been very successful. Again, that's how Kelly and I met, is she served on the executive board and I served on the foundation board and executive board at a later time. And it's a labor of love. Back in 2006, there were probably 15 to 17 students on campus. And now we're an NPS school, which means we're a non-public school. We get referrals from districts as a referral source, as opposed to just students having to find us, which has been great. So about 25% of our student population are NPS students. And we now, we have about 80 students, which is close to our capacity, which has been fantastic. And one of the things that we found was New Vista does a very good job of educating the students. It's really about filling educational gaps that they may be missing in the school districts. And we have individualized programs that address how the students should learn and a lot of focus on social skills. But what was happening is these students were leaving New Vista and floundering in the real world. They were struggling in college. They didn't have any direct access to employment, and were having difficulties at post New Vista. So I'm going to say 3 or 4 years ago, the New Vista Career Academy was launched. And that focus is all vocational. We're a regional center vendor. And the focus is to work with students or adults who have graduated high school that are looking for instruction and internships on vocational life skills and working with local community partners. And so we do a lot of work with nonprofit organizations for general skill building. And then our goal is to find their interest. Marcos, who's the program director, works very closely with the families to identify their interests and work with them over an 8 to 9 month period to get general skills together, soft skills, what it means to be a good employee, how do you read a schedule, how do you dress, what is important to be a team player and be on time. And then he starts working with the families to find out what their exact interests are. And our goal is to find those employment opportunities that meet the needs and interests of the students. And it's been very successful. So if a student comes through and we get them trained up and he says, I really want to work at the zoo, then Marcos and I will go to the zoo, we'll find a position, and we'll have a one-on-one job coach that goes with them until they feel comfortable hiring that individual on their own. So it's been great. When Marcos and I started working together, we had about 4 or 5 employees that, or I apologize, 4 to 5 students that were at the academy. And I think Marcos, we're hitting about 30 right now with another 20 wanting to come in. So Marcos and his team have done a fantastic job of working with these students, getting them into the community, and then doing classroom studies during the day.
Tell us a little bit. So let's say if a new family comes to you with their adult child and says, help my child get employed. What are the steps you take when you first meet that adult child in the family?
So, I mean, the first step in the process is just having a simple conversation. In today's world, that is not so simple. So that means maybe we meet on Zoom, maybe we meet in person at one of our different facilities, and we just initially have a conversation. This is who we're about, and we want to learn about the person that you're bringing before us. We want to hear about their goals. If they have any special abilities or talents, we want to hear about that. If the person has interests or hobbies that can be formed into talents, well, that's part of what we want to talk about. And then after we have our first initial meeting, we generally ask for a follow-up visit, offering our clients 3 days before making a decision. And generally, we like to request that our visitors would join us on a Tuesday and a Friday. Tuesdays are the production days at the farms that we're working at. So that's where you can really get to see the program in its full swing. And everything that we're doing at the farm, all of the food raised goes on to benefit Anaheim. And, I want my kids to know that. So typically we ask for Tuesdays. And then Fridays, Monday through Thursday is all about, work, building, gaining. And then Thursdays is all about camaraderie, fun building. And so I ask for a Tuesday and a Friday. So that way, our clients can see both sides where, you see that we're a vocational program and that, we have applicable purpose. But at the same time, life isn't all about work. So we also reserve Fridays just to be able to squeeze in that, that bit for social gain.
Talk about the farm.
So the farm is super cool. We have 2 farms that we're working at right now. One is Renewable Farms Anaheim, and the other is Gold Coast Farm in Aliso Viejo. And the best thing about these farms is that they're using sustainable, innovative technologies. Not to get too far into the future of food, but these are innovative technologies that are more likely to be around for us in the future. So I want my kids to be exposed to those technologies. And what we're doing is everything from crop rotation, seed planting and harvest. And then when we say we have, maybe a different track, we have certain clients that in the past, they went and established a whole Wi-Fi network at the farm where the owner can now tap into his phone and control everything from the farm regulation systems to the lighting and sound. And that was all developed by our kids. Now, what this farm does for us is it offers an environment that we would be able to teach foundational skill values. This is where we learn how to do all those basic tasks, how to work in a team environment. And if we have anybody who has the interest or need, this is where we talk about health and fitness. At our farm in Anaheim right now, we're offering farm fitness. So we have a football coach on our team who Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, he's out running high intensity interval training. So, on one end, we're doing impact work, and on the other end, we're doing self-skill building.
It's so awesome. I'm just thinking of my son is about to graduate in December from the transition program. I'm just like, oh man, sign me up.
Oh no, for sure. It's such a fun experience. I would tell you, if you just want to stop by for a visit, just, swing by, say hi. It's an aquaponics farm. So, we have 6 different beds that have koi in them. So, part of it, we're feeding the koi. The other part, we're talking to our clients about how, we feed the koi produce the ammonia, which, eventually becomes nitrite after it's broken down in the tables. And so we're talking about the cycles of life here. So, there's, so much that we can be able to talk about. And if we're not talking, we get to hear the waterfalls, and that's pretty cool too.
That's
So,
awesome.
there's just always something fun going on at the farm.
That's one of my favorite parts about your program is the farm work that you do and how you fully integrate the whole experience. But you guys at New Vista also do something where you hire back former students, I know, and you also really involve veterans. Can you
Right.
talk about that?
So you're right. I mean, we kind of feel like this is a full circle um, event that we're putting together. If students are exiting New Vista and are looking for one, we also support them as they go into college. So if they leave here and they enroll in a community college, we allow them to have 1 foot on our campus, 1 foot on their campus, where we're supporting them in topics and programs and classes that may be difficult for them. So we're not just leaving them hanging. And we, on the New Vista side, we've hired 2 or 3 ex-students have come back and are tutoring math or part of our media arts program. And we have one that's actually working with Marcos as a job coach up at the Career Academy. And Marcos is a military veteran, and he's just found a really unique niche of hiring veterans who are looking to get reacclimated back into society. And so I've got autistic students that need assistance from veterans, and veterans who are getting benefit out of working with the autistic students. It's tremendous. These are very dedicated people. I've never met such a team that just are totally embraced in what we're doing and supporting our students. And Marcos has done a fantastic job of developing this team and really driving the program forward.
I know, I'm so proud of you all. I love it so much. All right, so Marcos, Jen's son Dylan, he's 21. Jen, do you want to describe him to Marcos a little bit? And then let's hear, you ask the questions, and Marcos, how would you guide Jen as a parent? Like,
Yeah,
I
so
really want to hear, so parents listening to this can know what to look for, ask for when they're looking for programs for their kids.
yeah, so Dylan's come a long way. He definitely has a history of a lot of behaviors. He definitely is one that relies on structure and routine. One thing that just stuck out as soon as you said you were military, I was like, you know what, that's actually a really good fit for my kid and many kids that I know, because he would, I believe, respect that and follow along with that type of structure, and much needed. It's interesting because as you do IEPs, especially moving into just even the transition program, they do a lot of assessments and testing. And actually, the one thing that kept coming up when they asked Dylan what he wanted to learn and job training was to work with animals. And so that's always been a thing for him. He's always connected with animals. He likes animals much more than people. And he's very, even though he does have, some aggression sometimes towards people, he's always been very, very self-conscious and very gentle with animals. And he did horse therapy for like many years when he was young. And in his transition program, he did volunteer up to the pandemic at the OC Animal Care. So he was both cleaning like the cages and the facility, but also interacting with the animals, feeding them, grooming them, petting them. So it definitely seems like, another thing he also is into is gardening. He learned to do that in high school. And so he has more of a green thumb than I do. But he definitely likes to learn how to garden. And then with that, he does cooking classes. So he likes to go for CBI to first they get things out of the garden, then they make a recipe, they make their list, they go either to the farmer's market or the store, get the rest of the food and learn how to cook. So I would say those are his 2 big passions, eating and then playing with animals. So how would you guide individual that does have some behaviors like to a good path?
So, I mean, first off, congratulations to you and your families, and kudos to your successes and keep up the
Thank
good
you.
work. It sounds like your son has a ton of potential and has been working diligently on any sorts of challenges he might be seeing today. This is generally where I reassure our parents that we're people working with people, and we get conflict. We understand working with challenges. A benefit of, well, I get to say this now, but benefit of being a disabled veteran, I have a little bit of insight into some of the challenges you described. If I had a perfect world, I would probably hang around animals all day too, but it's just not the world we're living in. So we have to be able to get out there and be part of something, to be able to attach ourselves to a purpose. And with your son in mind, he's already inclined to want to work with nature. And there's nothing wrong with not wanting to work with people. We've all worked with so many people, and we get it. There's people that are just better fits. I get everybody from the social butterfly who's ready to be a Disney princess, or along those lines, all the way to the person who probably wants to work in a warehouse or a motorcycle shop. Warehouse because he doesn't want to talk to people, or motorcycle shop because maybe she says things that are better off said in a motorcycle shop. um,
I love it.
That sounds like Bill.
so exactly, so it's just like, hey, let's just stop and recognize that we're talking about people. These aren't only special need issues, these are young adult issues. We just get to see it in its grand form. And so this is where I, get to reassure our parents that, that's energy, that's potential. And, if they're committed to, working to address their behavioral challenges, then it sounds like, we have all of the focus we need to be able to effectively work forward. Now, keeping in mind that, it may come to a decision where, certain families might just decide to, just keep things within a range that would be manageable over time.
Mhm.
So before I even get into talking about employment, I might ask along the lines of, how do they feel about volunteer services? And in this case, we have somebody who enjoys it. So are we doing this consistently as a hobby? Are we, applying structure to what we're doing? And in this program, I know we mentioned OC Park, and they have a progressive volunteer program. So something I would ask to follow up is, are you part of that program? I'm just learning about it. I was at the OC Park earlier this week, and I found a goose with a broken leg, and I caught it and I handed it off to some volunteers. And they mentioned that they're in desperate need of more volunteers.
Oh, wow.
So I would tell somebody, like Jen, say, hey, like I was just at the park, and there's a need for that. And by the way, there's like so many program resources out there. Maybe there's a way that, in the future, your son could potentially do this for paid. And if not for nothing, we're at the starting point. So let's intern it. Let's check it out. And, in that time, we're going to see about, is this more of a hobby, or is this something that we want to structurally work towards?
I love that.
And
I'm so old, Marcus, that in the 90s, I used to support adults, and they went to sheltered workshops, and they screwed nuts and bolts together, and then unscrewed them, and then screwed them, and then unscrewed them.
yeah, no, I
And
get
that's
it.
what we used to do.
So I counted nuts and bolts for my first 2 years in the Marine Corps because that's what I was made for. And I realized that's not what I was made for.
I like the creative thinking now, and the idea that you're bringing, that our kids can do anything.
Mhm.
And if we find
Absolutely.
their passionate interests, whether, I love the angle about if it's a hobby or a career, and sorting that out. I hadn't thought about it that way. But it's, just 30 years ago, we were not even thinking this way about our
Right.
kids. I'm almost 30 years in my career working with adults and children, and you went to the sheltered workshop, or you stayed at home with your parent and didn't do anything. So just the idea that, we expect and will provide these young adults either volunteer or employment around their interest and passion is huge.
Jen, the other thing that's interesting about your question is we already have established partnerships with companies that are doing food service, and animals. So we have a relationship with the Santa Ana Zoo, And if we didn't, and Dylan was like, I really, want to go work at Amazon, then my job with Marcos is to go find that opportunity. And I think that's one of the things that differentiates our program is how individualized we are. It's not 25
Exactly.
people that go out and do the same thing, but what are your needs? What are your interests? We go look for a champion at the company, like Marcos said, and establish these long-term relationships and break down the barriers of fear, because a lot of employers are uncomfortable. They don't know what they're doing, and we break that down, and we have some fantastic partnerships. But already we have animals and food, which has been great.
What I think is
Right.
cool what you're saying is because, just looking around at different options already is that you're not just trying to teach the individual like, oh, here's how to fill out a job application. You're really like digging deep to find out, what their interests are, what their skills are, what, their passion is. And you're taking it to the next step to not just say, okay, go look for this. Like you're helping them find the right path. And then you're educating also the community and different employers and companies about, how great our kids are and how much they can accomplish. So it's definitely extremely motivating, especially since I'm in the home stretch of this. And Kelly, I had to, give kudos to Kelly because she worked with my son forever and definitely during some wild times. And, she really has done a lot to bring him to where he is now. So I'm so excited about what you guys are doing. It's very inspiring as a parent. So thank you.
It's super
Oh, thank
inspiring.
you.
I think we just sort of figured out like some taglines for you guys, Bill, like something like your passion is our purpose, or you can go wherever your dream takes you. I don't know.
No, but
But
you're
you
right.
really can.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, that is the premise of the program and Marcos is fantastic of working with the families, understanding the student, getting their interest, and then we stair step to where we think they can go. I mean, we're trying to frankly avoid, flowers and sweeping and, the stuff that our kids get pushed into. These students have a lot of abilities, and it just takes a little more time, a little more focus, a little more attention. And I think we can get people into some nice careers doing. Pre-COVID, Marcus had students working at law firms and and other areas that were, offered a lot more abilities for our students. Is really nice.
It's so inspiring. Thank you all for joining us on our podcast today.
Thank you for having
Oh
us.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, honey.
You're welcome.
And one other piece in that we just recently started is we're now getting into a community marketing. So, now we're able to teach our clients, not just how to be able to function on the job, but if we have anybody who might, be interested in entrepreneurship, who might need certain business skills, we're now teaching everything from seed to start. And that means like literally we're teaching people how to plant seeds. And then we're now starting an upcycling program where we work with the veteran community, get them to cup wine bottles. So we're repurposing these wine bottles, bringing them back to our kids, and now saying, hey, now it's time to get on our artistic game. So, get down on your crafts. And then next, we're going to talk about marketing. That might mean social media marketing for some clients. It might mean going to the actual job site over, like, say, at Monarch Beach Market and actually maintaining that space. And next month, we're slotted for a community marketing where this event generally sees about 500 to 1,000 people. And I'm not sure what it's going to look like this year, but something we are sure about is that we're going to show our kids how to get the job done. We're going to take you out there and we're going to teach you how to make transactions. And if we don't find those jobs, we're going to work to create them.
Very cool.
Can you guys create a marketing department and help Jen and I market our podcast?
Yeah, we probably have students clients that can do that.
So we're already working on that. So not even kidding. If you're interested in it,
Nope.
absolutely, let's see about it. We're doing marketing.
I mean, it was a New Vista student who's now an employee that taught me how to do this whole podcast thing. It was Cameron. So
They
That's
have the talents and skills we need,
yeah. So think of us, okay?
for sure.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.